1978, the Downtown Development Authority area. The DDA captures incremental tax revenues generated by all properties in the DDA. And the DDA Act authorizes the DDA to capture those library millages. And those amount to approximately $3 million annually. Now, the DDA does have a revenue sharing agreement with the library to share those revenues to the maximum extent allowed by its bond indentures, but substantially and essentially speaking, the DDA captures the library mills just as they capture the city operating and other mills in the DDA, and all that capture being sort of at the center of the value proposition of the DDA and the DDA's abilities. Brian, next slide, please. Here is, I think, some very important sort of outline of where we go from here. And this is something that has required quite a bit of legal analysis in the weeks since Mr. Corley made his initial report. And we'd love to talk about it here and then situate it within the context of District Detroit. Member Johnson, if you'll indulge me just another moment. The DDA Act was amended in 2016 to exempt the library mills from DDA capture after the millage is renewed. So it is anticipated that the millage would be sent back to the voters and renewed in 2024. And at that point, the DDA would not be allowed to capture those 3.9 mills any longer. And so starting in 2025, the TIF in the DDA, the productive properties and the incremental revenues in the DDA will go to the library to the tune of about $3 million annually, and as expected to grow going forward. So what about the District Detroit projects? The other major point of legal analysis is this: what about projects that are new projects that are located in the DDA area, such as these? It's projected that 8 of those projects would generate about $25 million over 35 years for the out of the library levies. And up until this legal analysis confirming that the DDA would no longer capture those, it was assumed that the DDA would get those revenues. That is not so. So in so many words, the District of Detroit and the tax revenues that it generates would actually deliver, at a minimum, this $25 million in revenues to the library. And then there's the Brownfield plan currently contemplates capture of 4.7. Legal review continues about the nature of that capture, but it hinges on the same question. It is, however, the case as to the 8 that the Brownfield plan will not step into DDA's place. And so were all 10 projects to generate library revenue for the library, it would amount to about $30 million over 35 years. And as it would be the case with the city income tax revenues, the library would not get those revenues without these projects. So thank you for the time and space to unpack that, Member Jensen. I know that's a lot, but I would say the headline is that because the DDA does not intercept the revenues, the library revenues after 2025, this ends up thankfully being another example of the value of the ways in which downtown development can drive tax revenues to the benefit of citywide systems and citywide assets like the library. So between the $3 million annually that goes to the DDA that currently that will go to the library going forward, and the revenues that would be generated by these projects, there is thankfully quite a bit of revenue that would be available and created to serve the library system. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. And I think that's great news starting in 2025. So that means we have about 19 or 20 months to provide the support just to make sure that we can continue serving our residents. But that's really good news, really good to hear, because I know we were all looking at how we were going to provide support just to make sure that those entities continue to exist and expand throughout the city.